This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
The latest ag news and the voice of Georgia farmers. It's who we are, it is what we do. And as always, we are so glad you tuned in for another edition of the GFM. That is slang, by the way, for Georgia Farm Monitor.
You are such the hipster. He's Ray, I'm Kenny, and this is the show lineup. Coming up, they hail from Scotland, but this particular group of cattle is located in Henry County. Damon Jones profiles Family Roots Farm and explains the lengths they go to in order to maintain their prized Belted Galloways. Also on the program, a trip to the North Georgia mountains to see if an abundance of rain as well as the late freeze had any impact on this year's apple crop. Plus, chicken, tater salad, and candied Georgia peanuts. Is that comfort food or what? Ray and Marcia share some incredible recipes and the steps you should take to get that perfect glaze on your chicken every time. Meals from the field and so much more start right now on the Farm Monitor.
Family Roots Farm in Henry County. It is anything but a conventional cattle business. One, they're located just 25 minutes south of Atlanta. Number two, they raise a breed of cattle that is native to the land of bagpipes and the Loch Ness Monster. Damon Jones looks at this unique farming operation where the entire family has a hand in its success.
What started off as just a seed of an idea back in college has now grown into this family-owned and operated cattle business just outside of Atlanta. And it's done so in a relatively short amount of time.
My wife, she used to see these Belted Galloways when she was in college at UGA, and she's like, I would like to have one of those cows that I used to see all the time. So we bought our first cow, I think it was about 4 years ago, and from there it just blossomed into the operation that we have today.
I just thought they were beautiful cows, and the more I learned about the actual breed and how docile they are and how fun they are to be around. And once you get one, you have to have another one, and it just kind of blossoms into the whole herd.
And blossom it has, as this family-run operation is now overseeing more than 60 head of a very distinctive breed of cattle.
This breed is unique because it originates from Scotland. It's a Scottish breed. The Belted Galloways and the Highlanders both come from Scotland. So it's not your conventional British and continental breeds, like you normally would see on a farm around here.
Because this breed is not typically seen around the state, they are a little more difficult to come by. That means there has been plenty of traveling to get the numbers where they are today.
They are a little bit harder to find. We have gotten one all the way from Rhode Island. Another one I bought came from Vermont. We've had a couple from North Carolina, some from Alabama. So we've traveled all over trying to get some different genetics in.
Getting the cows to the farm is just the beginning, as they must be taken care of every single day in order to keep them healthy and happy.
We have to manage to get out every evening and make sure each pasture is taken care of. It's always something. Somebody's due to calve, somebody's limping. You got to get more fly control on them. But in the long run, I do it because I enjoy it, and it's just become a passion of mine.
Despite the long hours, it is well worth it to the Craig family, as they can unwind from the stress of their daytime jobs and school.
I just love coming out here in the evening. I work a full-time job, and when I come out here, I just relax. I feed them, I talk to them. They all have names. They're all more of pets to me, but they eat out of my hand. But at the same time, it's a business operation.
The key word in the company name is family, as each member has their role in the success of the operation.
My daughter's involved. She helps with all the business, all the paperwork on the computer with when they've had vaccines and when they've been bred and when they're due. My son helps with the day-to-day operations. So it really is a family operation.
We hope that we're building a legacy that both our children can continue on in years to come.
Reporting from Henry County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Beautiful scenery, cooler temperatures, and of course, delicious Georgia apples. Yes, fall is here. John Holcomb spent time at an orchard in Ellijay and checks in from North Georgia as to why growers right now are feeling a bit uneasy.
After one of the best years they've ever had, thanks to great weather, a great growing season, and people desperate for safe things to do, apple growers across North Georgia were hoping for another great year. Unfortunately, though, thanks to Mother Nature and her late freeze, that isn't the case. If you take a stroll up through the North Georgia mountains this time of year, there's a few things you're guaranteed to see. Beautiful mountains, and apple market after apple market stocked with this year's apples. One of those markets is B.J. Reese Orchards, a family farm that's been around for decades.
My dad started the orchard in the early 60s, and then he sold me and my wife the farm, owner financed us the farm in '95, and we've been doing it ever since. He's still involved in operations, and we have about 230 acres of apple trees. A lot of those are new trees we planted in the last 2 or 3, 4 years. And we're planting new varieties every year, and we keep expanding our operation. We've added agritourism to our farm, so we have a lot of activities for the families to come out and do on the weekends.
Though things seem to be going well so far, it hasn't been an easy year for them thanks to a late freeze in the spring that devastated this year's crop and will cut their U-pick short.
Easter week we had some cold weather. It got down to 25, 26 degrees for 12 hours. And it killed a lot of the blooms. When the frost sets on the bloom, it kills and freezes, it kills the apple. It don't kill your tree, but it just kills the apple. So we lost a lot of apples. We have 6 different orchards, and some of the orchards it killed 100% in, but this orchard that we're standing in now, it killed about 50% of it. So we have enough U-pick apples to do for the month of September.
However, they're still optimistic, given how 2020, perhaps the most challenging year for most people, went for them. Reese said that last year was one of the best they've ever had, thanks to them having a safe option for people to enjoy.
Yes, last year it drove business up a little bit because the more families got out. It was good timing for us because that was about the time people was getting tired of being shut up and they was looking for stuff to do outside. So, you know, it sort of helped our business last year.
With this year's season just getting started, they're unsure how it will turn out, but Reese believes that families will again be looking for something to do outdoors.
It's hard to tell because our U-pick just started, so we don't know how it's going to play out the next 2 or 3, 4 weeks, but you know, it's affected us on the inside some, but on the outside, I think families are looking for something to do on the outside because it's safe for families to come and not be around other people. There's a lot of people here, but they can social distance. There's plenty of room to social distance.
You can find a map of orchards in the state at gfb.org. Just click on the Outreach tab and the Certified Farm Markets menu. Reporting in LJ for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
John, thanks so much. And folks, don't forget, if you missed any part of John's story or others on today's program, you can still see them in their entirety on our YouTube channel, The Farm Monitor. Just be sure to give yourself plenty of time to scroll through because the archives go all the way back to 2009. After the break, have you ever had buttermilk-infused potato salad? No? Well, neither had Ray until recently. Meals from the field and more when The Farm Monitor continues.
New plants are what drives the nursery industry, the landscape industry, the floriculture industry. Commercial breeding companies are coming up with new lines, new colors, new forms. You know, it finishes faster, it has better disease resistance, you know, whatever it is that they're, you know, the problem they're trying to solve to make it easier for the grower, the landscaper, the homeowner. The major crop I work on the herbaceous side is hardy hibiscus. So these are plants that are native to the eastern United States. So I saw an opportunity to develop ones that are better adapted to the southeastern United States or the mid-Atlantic. Most of the breeding had been done up in the northern states using different germplasm. We found some of those plants didn't necessarily perform well down here in the south. And so we were sort of looking to fill that void. Also, we were looking for some novel characteristics, compact, floriferous, lots of flowers, and purple foliage. So we started breeding in that direction, and then we started finding that, okay, there's some leaf spot issues. So we started selecting for those, and out of those came 1,200 seedlings out of some particular crosses. We were able to whittle that down to 7 that we wanted to look at further, and out of those 7, actually 2 have made it to the market. It's always exciting the first time you see one of your plants in the store or in a landscape, or somebody using it, seeing it in production in a nursery for the first time. I remember the first time I saw some of our hibiscus was at a local Lowe's store. I came around the corner and there were a couple of my hibiscus sitting there. I let out this loud yes. And my wife, her head pops up and what is it? I'm not creating the latest LED technology or 6G network for the world, but I am definitely inventing something new that takes some brain power into getting from A to B.
Well, unfortunately, there is still no technology to where you can actually experience smells coming through your TV, because if there was, right now you would all be getting up, would be jumping through your TV, and would be devouring what we are about to show you, because let me tell you, it smells absolutely wonderful in here.
Would that be called smell-o-vision?
Smell-o-vision, I like that. I think we should patent that, and we could be extremely filthy rich. Hey, welcome to another Meals from the Field. As always, I am joined by the one, the only, the great, the legendary Marcia Crowley.
Please.
Who may have just made us a lot of money if we can come up with this technology. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
Last month, of course, we were at the University of Georgia at Sanford Stadium.
It's a
we
little
had a
cooler
blast
today.
Yes, a lot cooler today. And again, thank you everybody out there at UGA for having us last month.
Oh yeah, that was great.
That was a lot of fun. We're about to have a lot of fun here, and the recipes that you got, good healthy recipes. We've got some chicken in there. We've got some Georgia peanuts. We've got some potato salad. Take it away. The stage is yours.
I cannot believe we've never done a potato salad.
Well, we're about to.
We're about to. All right, this is 2 pounds of cooked red potatoes. I think they make better potato salad. And this is kind of a little secret ingredient. This is 3 tablespoons of pickle juice that you put over the warm potatoes.
Not a secret anymore.
Not anymore. And what that does is it just absorbs the flavor. Okay, so we'll let those sit a minute. Then we're going to add the 1/2 cup of chopped onion. And I happen to like the red onion because of the color. 1/2 cup of chopped celery. Mix those up a little bit. And then 1/4 cup of sweet relish. You could use the not sweet if you wanted, but I just happen to like this one.
Could you use mean relish as opposed to sweet relish?
You could use mean relish,
Okay.
yeah.
Bad joke, I know.
I know, bad. All right, this is 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, and 1/4 cup of buttermilk, which is also a little bit different for a potato salad. And you could add some sugar to this if you don't think it's sweet enough, but you don't really need to unless you really like sweet potato salad. All right, you're going to pour that over the potatoes and the vegetables. Stir that up, and then you're going to add 2 hard-cooked eggs. And this, I make this potato salad all the time. Like I said, I cannot believe we've never done it, but it's really good. And here's the 2 cooked eggs.
I don't think I've ever had potato salad with buttermilk.
I know, isn't that different?
It is.
And the pickle juice, over the warm potatoes really sets it off. And there is your potato salad. Of course, refrigerate until you're ready to eat. Yeah, you don't want anybody getting sick. So. This is, you just use bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. You could use breast. Personally, I think if the bone's in the chicken and the skin's on, it's much more flavorful.
Okay.
It's not quite as, it doesn't dry out as much. So I've cooked this chicken with olive oil. I've given it a 15-minute head start, okay? The barbecue sauce is a cup and a half of your favorite barbecue sauce. This seems to be a little more on the vinegary side. You're going to add to that, that's warm, a quarter of a cup of peach preserves. So the type of barbecue sauce you choose is going to make a huge difference in the way, you know what I'm trying to say. All right, now the secret in this is you're going to brush the chicken on all sides with the barbecue sauce. You're going to roast it for 7 minutes at 400. You're going to bring it out of the oven, brush it with more barbecue sauce, flip it over, brush it with more barbecue sauce, put it back in the oven for 7 minutes. So you're going to do that 3 times. Okay. Then you're going to turn the oven up to 425 and put it in there again. If there's any remaining sauce, put that on there. It kind of makes it not crispy, but caramelizes a little bit. This is so good.
3 times in and out, and keep brushing, and then turn it up.
So if you were grilling this, I mean, when you grill, don't you flip and brush?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's the key. All right, this is what's so good to me. These are peanut butter candy bars.
Yum.
So I've got in this pan a cup and a half of salted Georgia peanuts. Okay, we're gonna, this is...
They have peanuts here in Georgia?
Somebody told me that.
I have to look into that.
This is 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 cups of peanut butter chips that I've already melted.
Okay.
And the peanut butter chips are obviously with the chocolate chips. 2 cups of marshmallows, mini marshmallows. Mixed all that, oops, somebody escaped. Mix all that up. Add to that a can of sweetened condensed milk. I mean, how do you go wrong?
You can't.
You can't go wrong. So if you're affected by sugar, you probably don't want to try this particular recipe.
Is that why I'm bouncing off the walls right now?
Probably.
Because I did sneak a bar in before we started filming, so.
All right, you're going to pour, let me see if I can mix this up a little better. You're going to pour this on top of those peanuts. And the only cooking in this recipe is heating up the peanut butter chips.
And then you just spread all that out?
Spread all this out. Then you're going to put the other cup and a half of peanuts on top.
Okay.
Yeah, so it calls for a total of 3 cups of peanuts. Put this on top.
I thought we were going to start mixing the whole thing together,
Nope.
but yeah, it's layered.
Right, and then you're going to let this cool completely. You could put it in the fridge. You're going to cut it into little bars, if you will. And they are a hit, let me tell you.
They are
They're
very
so good.
Like I said,
And
I had
that's
one
it.
myself, and there you see the finished product with that. The chewy goodness, as I like to say. And of course, folks, you can make all these recipes in the comforts of your own home by logging on to farm-monitor.com. The list just continues to grow and grow. I have lost count. We try to keep everything in order as best as possible. Again, farm-monitor.com. Go on to the recipe section, click there. Everything is there for you. Anything that you need for tailgates, for dinner guests, picnics, anything. So just some great stuff. As always, Marcia, thank you so much. Thank you, and we will see you next month.
Up next, the good news is they are not damaging to trees, but that doesn't mean you should ignore the problem. Extension Specialist Paul Pugliese on when and how you should get rid of tit caterpillars.
Hi, I'm Paul Pugliese with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're in Cartersville, Georgia at the historic Roselawn Museum. And today we're going to look at some caterpillars that are on this tree behind me. This is a very common problem that we see throughout Georgia and the southeast. This particular caterpillar is a caterpillar that creates a tent on the ends of the branches of the trees that it likes to eat. In this particular case, this is called a fall webworm caterpillar. It's a fuzzy little caterpillar. He's only about an inch long. He could have a red head or a black head in some cases. And they have little dots on their backs, but again, they're very, very tiny little caterpillars. They like to nest in these tents. They will actually envelop the entire leaf with their tent or their silk, and they'll feed inside the silken tent. So that acts as protection from birds and other wildlife while those caterpillars are feeding. There's another type of caterpillar that we have in Georgia called a tent caterpillar, a true tent caterpillar. They actually will create their tents in the forks of the branches of the tree, closer to the inside of that tree trunk, and they will actually come out of the branch or outside of the tent when they're feeding, unlike the fall webworm that stays inside the tent. This particular insect likes to eat a lot of different hardwood trees, things like hickories, pecans, oaks, persimmon trees, and in this case, a cherry tree. And sometimes they can get bad enough where almost every branch on the entire tree is covered in these silk tents. And so that can be concerning to a lot of people if they have that in their yard. Sometimes if you have a picnic table or you spend a lot of time under your shade trees in your backyard, it'll almost sound like it's raining in your backyard because there's so much scat from these caterpillars falling out of the trees that can be a nuisance sometimes. These are actually, will eventually become a tiny little moth, and that moth will sometimes lay more eggs, and you can get a second or third generation here in Georgia later in the season. Usually the moths will start laying their eggs in May or early June. That would be the earliest you could see them. And the reason why they're called fall webworms is because the population of these caterpillars will start to grow as we get closer to the fall. Most people don't even notice them in the early spring or summertime, but by fall, again, this entire tree could potentially be covered in tents and millions of caterpillars at that point. This is actually a problem that we get a lot of calls about, and because it is sometimes concerning, people want to know, well, what should I do about it? In this particular case, this is not something that we would normally treat for, because again, by the time it starts to be a problem, if you will, for that tree, it's so late in the fall that that tree is ready to shed those leaves and go dormant in the wintertime anyway. And so it's really not a concern for the health of that tree at that point in the summer or late fall. And one way of looking at that is that's just less leaves that you have to rake up in the fall. They're going to clean it up for you before winter comes. So what can you do about it? If you only have like one tent in this particular case, the best option is just to prune it out. If you can reach it and it's safe to do that, just take a good pair of pruning shears and cut that off, and you can dispose of that. You can bag it up and throw it away if you want to, throw it in your compost bin if you want to, and that'll take care of those caterpillars for this particular season. And again, the idea is to catch that before they become a bigger problem later in the summer and the fall. Again, we don't recommend treating trees with any pesticides in this particular case because it's not really harmful to the tree. They're just chewing on leaves, and the tree can always produce more leaves next year. And so again, it's not a long-term or permanent problem for that tree. So again, if you have any questions like this about your trees or bugs that you have in your backyard, you can call your local county extension office at 1-800-ASK-UG1 or go to our website at ugaextension.com and continue to follow us on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Very good info, Paul. Thanks so much. And thank you for making the show possible.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor. Have a great week.